Today we're going to test 4 amps before they go out home. We're going to start with this Origin 20, and then a Blues Junior, and then this Twin, and then that Tone King Sky King. So none of them are going to be long, but just want to make sure they're all healthy and see what the amps sound like. So this Origin 20, I'm going to try to get good usable sounds from it. I've been accused of just having an unbridled hatred towards this amp. Let's see how it fares. So, all right, master on 10, gain about 10 o'clock, nothing, no boost. All the other controls at noon. So that's presence, treble, middle, bass, and the shift. Is that what they call it? Tilt. Really bright, so let's turn the presence down. Let's turn the treble down. Let's see what the tilt does. The low end out of this little cabinet with this little 10-inch speaker is not huge, so let's turn the bass up a bit. Turn the mids down a little bit, up a little bit. That's fairly neutral for this kind of amp. Let's see, so that leaves us with the tilt at about 10 o'clock, the bass at about 2 o'clock, the mids at about 2 o'clock, the treble about 9 o'clock, the presence about 9 o'clock. It wants to be bright, and it's got a harshness to it still. Turn it up a bit. Let's go about 3 o'clock. Let's go for a little more clarity without making it too bright. So I'm going to turn the tilt up. Bring the presence up to about, 10 o'clock. Let's bring the boost up. To my ears, it sounds better without using the boost, which really thickens it up in ways that the speaker kind of fights with, maybe through a different cabinet. Let's turn the gain all the way up. When it's really gained up like that, that crossover distortion becomes real apparent. Let's see what happens when I turn the master volume down. All right, that's 2 o'clock. 10 o'clock. Back up to 5 o'clock. So yeah, that master volume pretty quickly cleans things up. Let's go to keep the master volume up on 10. We're going to go from full power to half power to lowest power. Yeah, I'm not loving that sound. If I had to use one of these, I would not go higher than 2 o'clock on the gain. That's where we're at right about now. And let's see, at that level. Still not something I would choose or recommend, but it has some usable spots. I think probably best approach would be to keep the gain below 11 o'clock and use pedals. But that little speaker and that little cabinet are not doing it any favors. So maybe if you have the head version of this and you try not to get too much gain out of the amp so it stays pretty clean or on the edge of dirt, and you have a better sounding larger cab. Your mileage may vary. Anyway, let's move on to the Blues Junior. All right, this Blues Junior came in because had a busted input jack. So it's got the Switchcraft input jack, changed out the filter caps, changed out the screen grid resistors, cooled off the bias. This one still has the original bright cap that the owner wanted, and it's a little bit bright. I've got the volume at just over 4, the treble at 4, the bass at 7, the mids at 3, the master full up, and the reverb on 2. You can really hear that bright cap in this thing, but yeah, people like it. Is it a good sounding little amp? Yeah, it is. The trouble is, even with that done, the output tube sockets will eventually desolder themselves, even with the bias cooled. It's just way too fragile for the price point. And, people don't believe that, but then they bring their amp in after having it for 3 years, and nasty, awful things have happened on that output tubes board. There are fixes for that, but it'd be nicer if they built the amp a lot better to begin with, so the owner didn't have to spend another $300-400 down the road to keep it going past 10 years. And again, it's very bright with that bright cap, hence the name. I prefer to snip that out. It makes the treble pot much more useful. This is with the treble low, and the circuit's got a ton of mids. If I turn the mids up to noon, not so bad with the speaker that's in here, but if you have that stock Eminence made for Fender that these often come with, that mids at noon will be real boxy. But don't be afraid to turn it down if you want to sound more like a 60s Fender. totally messed up the page thing. Let's switch over to the twin reverb here. All right, this one came in because it had bad output tubes. Recapped it as well. Bumped up a few things in there for reliability. Still am waiting for one more chassis screw, at which point this will line up. The amp is really a lot healthier now than it was when it came in. It has, like all twin reverb reissues in stock form, a higher than necessary noise floor because the way they ran some traces on the board, which is different than the mistake on the deluxe reverb. But that was not in the budget for this one. But beyond that, I mean, what you play is so much higher than that noise floor. I'm not a fan of these C12Ks that these come with. They're real boxy. They don't have great low-end extension. The highs are a little bit muffled. It's the kind of thing you don't really notice until you hear it with something else. So let me let you hear it with something else. I'm gonna run it through the ET65. So yeah, speakers make a big difference. My shop cab is about the same dimensions as a twin. It's an open back 2x12. It's higher quality. It's one I had made for me by a guy who makes really nice cabs. But you know, it's not anything esoteric. It's just a good sounding open back 2x12 with much better sounding speakers than these C12Ks. Everything just sounds and feels so much more alive with good speakers. The other thing I've got to do on this one, I meant to mention it before, is the molded speaker cable that comes from the factory is a little bit intermittent. And if I turn it, it goes and that might be why this amp needed 4 new 6L6s. About $180 worth of output tubes because of one $5 speaker cable that the factory just insists on making horrible. Let's get out that Sky King now. And here we have the Sky King. I've got the attenuation off. We're on the rhythm channel. Gains at 9 o'clock, trebles about 1 o'clock, bass about almost 2 o'clock, reverb just over 9 o'clock. We're going to ignore the tremolo for this. A little bit bright, so I'm going to turn the treble down to about noon. So that's a nice sounding amp. It's got more of a noise floor than the twin does. But, you know, I don't think you're going to notice that in a band context, but your recording engineer might look at you sideways sometimes. If you turn down the attenuation for the rhythm channel 2 notches, that background noise becomes non-apparent and you still have a nice output. Let's go to the gain channel. I turn the reverb down. I'm going to take the I've got the tone at about 2 o'clock, which is pretty neutral. I've got the gain about 11 o'clock, and I'm going to go from 7 o'clock to 5 o'clock on the mid bite. Let you hear what that does. I wish there was a way to assign the reverb only to the clean channel or to both channels, etc. If I had the foot switch hooked up, I could switch channels and turn the reverb off at the same time, probably. But for this purpose, I'm not going to set it up. But I don't think that the reverb is that effective with the gain stuff. So that's nice. Let's turn the gain up to about, 2 or 3 o'clock. Split the difference, 230. Now I noticed if you use the attenuator more than 2 clicks on this channel gets a little bit fizzy. So let's see if you agree. That's 2 clicks. There's a rattly sound in there at this highest gain sound. Did I miss a tube? It's like it's oscillating. It went away when I turned the volume all the way down. Let me switch guitars. Someone wanted to hear the SG with this thing. It's not doing that ringy thing now. It's the same amount of gain on the app. If I wasn't sitting so close to the amp, these are potted, but just lightly. So, you know, if I was 10 feet away, this would be very much more controllable. It's a good sound. And with the humbuckers. Like I said in the previous video on this, it doesn't have a ton of headroom, clean headroom for humbuckers. And that's including with the attenuation off. That's right below 9 o'clock, as soon as I hit about 9:30. Notice that squeal again. That's really weird. So obviously there it is again. Oh my God. It's construction crew down the street. That is the sound of a tool on concrete. But it's way in the background, and for whatever reason, the first 3 times I did it, it went away at the same time I turned down the volume. I thought I had a bum tube that I hadn't missed. Okay. Thanks, construction crew down the street. Anyway, so that's 4 amps, 3 of which are going out today, and this twin will be going as soon as I replace that speaker cable and that one screw, and life will be good. So, thanks for watching.